I came here in 1957. I spent 4 of the most beautiful years of my life in this school. A lot of kids were afraid to come to school. No, that wasn't it. I didn't want to go home. I wanted to stay here. In fact, I stayed here, and many times the bus didn't come, and we had to walk home. And you didn't mind it. It was 5 miles, you know. Bishop Egan's in my heart. Commonwealth Egan is in my heart. It's just a wonderful place.
I grew up right across the street in Holly Hill. I was one of those kids that would show up for workouts at, 7 o'clock in the morning and stay after for, it was called gym night practice then. I was captain of the blue team. I was captain of the gray team. I would get home at 10 o'clock at night, I remember, because you couldn't buy T-shirts back then. Dyeing T-shirts at midnight in a laundromat with about 5 guys so that we could have the right color shirts. I look back on all that stuff. I can't tell you how much it means to me. It's formulated me as who I am as a person. I hope that we can do for our students and our players what this place did for me.
You know, our school was located next to a garbage dump. So in 1968, 69, when Bishop Egan was built in Fairless Hills, it was a brand new school, monastery, beautiful, built-in pool for the priests and the brothers. And we were stuck with the school next to the garbage dump. So
It's a man's world.
But we still loved
we made it work. We
With
made
the
it work.
smell and all. Biology, I can still smell that
on
smell.
warmer days, you had to shut the windows. It was really good.
When Bishop Egan was opened, right, it was here to support, the explosion of Levittown and Lower Bucks County, right? And so you had all these Catholics who were now post-war were buying these homes in Levittown, and this new community was sprouting up, and so the population got so big that it could support 2 Catholic high schools within a relatively close distance of one another. Fast forward to 1993, the population in general is shrinking. The demographics were changing in Lower Bucks County. Our Catholic parents were not having 6 and 7 kids, they were having 2. When you look at it from a numbers perspective, the population could then only support 1 Catholic high school. In 93, they announced that Bishop Conwell and Bishop Egan would combine. We would be called Conwell Egan Catholic High School, and the new building would be in the Bishop Egan Boys Building. And so we all ran out to the back and we rang the bell. And the day that we opened, I was the weather watcher that day. And they broadcast live from the building. What I said was, it's a rainy day outside, but it's sunny inside the halls of Conwell Egan Catholic for our first day, and everybody was waving outside of the windows. That was the first day we opened as Conwell Egan Catholic.
So how did we feel when it closed? It was sad to lose that all-girl thing.
And I think that's something that people are beginning to see differently. Like before, it was Commonwealth felt ostracized. They felt like there was this school opened and boom, that school, Commonwealth got knocked down. But now I feel like people are starting to see the inclusiveness now that, this might not be the same building that we were in, but it's the same spirit.
But it's not a building. We didn't lose our building. We didn't lose our traditions. The loyalty and the courage and the integrity that was taught at Bishop Egan continues here today at Commonwealth Egan.
Everything was joint, right? All of a sudden, we became this co-ed institution, and there were so many of us that were so committed to it, right? The girls and the boys. The place was packed with people. I mean, think about this building with 1,400 students. Think about what a spirit night was like then. Literally, the walls shook. It was a pretty incredible time to be here.
I was offered the job in 2011 with the knowledge that Conwell Egan Catholic was on the bubble. I had no idea how big that bubble was and how easily it would burst. However, I took the job because I felt that if it was not a success, someone needed to close the school with dignity. Someone who understood the meaning of it, who was invested emotionally in the community. I watched North Catholic closed, I watched Cardinal Doherty close, and It was a bittersweet reality for their communities, and I felt that it had to be done with grace.
I graduated in 1972, but I didn't get back involved with the school until 2011, when a couple of my friends, Bill Burns and Jack Techman, called and said, would you like to help with a group to keep Conwell Egan going? Rumors have it that the school's in trouble and might be closed. They said, well, we want you to meet the president, Janet Dollard. So I met Janet, and there's no way I could say no to Janet. And she was really a driving force at this time. So we began to anticipate the worst, and how do we convince the powers to be to keep us open. So several of us made multiple trips into the city to get in front of the Blue Ribbon Committee, who gave us our time to argue our case as to why you shouldn't close the school. It was important to the Lower Bucks community. It has a long, glorious history. Give us a chance was basically our message. Give us a chance to rally the great Conwell Egan community. And we thought we could make a go of it. Well, we took our shots at it, and they basically said, sorry, the Archdiocese can't support it anymore.
So in January in 2012, when I was a junior, they scheduled an assembly for us to come down at the end of the school day, which was kind of different because we usually have the assemblies in the beginning of the school day. So we kind of knew something was up, but we didn't really know anything. They didn't tell us anything. And they make an announcement that 4 of the archdiocesan high schools will be closing, and Conwell Egan is going to be one of them. And I just remember being in shock. There was a lot of emotions going on in the room. I just remember taking everything in at one time. There were people yelling over on the right side. Some people got up on the left side. So many tears. I remember that night we went to one of my friend's house, the whole group of us. And we had been best friends since freshman year, and we just sat there and watched the news the entire night because it was talking about the closing the entire time. And we just sat there with blank emotions on our faces, just thinking we are not going to get to graduate together, you know, the 10 of us that have been best friends for years.
We were made aware that there was an announcement coming. We weren't sure whether it was, we were open or closed, but having been involved for the year before that and knowing the rumors, I wasn't very hopeful that they were going to announce us staying open. So it was heart-wrenching. And as a parent, not only as a coach here, my son was a junior. I graduated from here. His 3 sisters graduated from here. My wife graduated from Conwell. So it was kind of a family affair for us. And to think that our son, our last child, was not going to be able to graduate from the same high school was really disheartening.
When the people in the room heard the announcement, it was me telling them. It was singularly the most difficult announcement I had to make. That morning, we had been called down to Newman University, and they were very specific that it was only the president of a school and a school minister. Our school minister at the time was not available, so Father Fidelis came with me. And I knew that we had an auditorium full of people waiting to hear what we had to tell them. I said to him something along the lines of, Father, this has got to be so difficult for you because you've spent over 50 years here. And he said, when you drive, you have to keep your eye looking forward. You only use that rearview mirror when you need to. But the reality of this situation began long before January 6th.
The idea that we were not cutting it, not true. I mean, we were operating a no-frills, bare bones kind of institution with diminishing help from the Archdiocese and suggesting that somehow the community and our faculty and our graduates had failed the test. It was just not true. And with a fair shake and an opportunity to continue on, to start this chapter of transformational growth and to improve Conwell Egan High School across the board was the chance that we wanted.
I think from a financial point of view, I could understand it, right? Because at the end of the day, if you can't cover your cost. It's hard for an organization to go forward. But I thought it was premature because they didn't try to rally the community. I mean, let's face it, most of the Catholic schools, for most of their existence, tuition wasn't that high, and that was plenty good enough because the church had the funds to support the school. So I think the community, none of us were really used to paying back in, right? It just wasn't the model. But I think we all felt, we knew the spirit in these schools, and it existed for almost 60 years, by the time they made their decision. So there was this general view that there was a lot of goodwill in our community and a lot of passion in the alumni base, and that if we had time to try to reach that and set that passion back on fire, that we could get this thing back to where it was or even better.
Once we knew that there was an opportunity for an official appeal, we just kind of dug in our heels and kind of worked harder. By day, I had to tell our students and encourage our students to go look for new schools.
Wow, this is no more. Like, our spirits, our hearts were broken. I mean, I get chills still thinking about that day just because it was so impactful to us. I myself was going to have to go somewhere else for my senior year. This school meant so much to all of us. Like, we really are a family here, and it's always been that way. And it just really, really crushed us.
I just thought, wow, what a loss to Lower Bucks County, to Bucks County, because these kids deserve the same opportunities that we had.
I mean, we've been friends
For too
really,
long.
yeah.
Many years.
And we've been friends since
Like
8th
50.
grade.
Second
St. Mike's.
grade.
Yes. So, and it was a shame to think that, the kids weren't going to experience that also,
Yeah.
too,
I remember, distinctly feeling kind of heartbroken that the thought of this school not being here. It's a community, it's a family here. We meet people from all different classes, graduating classes, and when you tell them you're from Bishop Egan or Bishop Conwell or Conwell Egan, it's like an instant connection. And I don't think you get that everywhere. I think this is a special place.
It was a gut punch for sure, and it wasn't like it was completely out of the blue because the diocese was already sort of, in that mode of shutting down and closing parishes. And, in light of that and kind of knowing that we might eventually, succumb to the same fate, it just was sort of a feeling of, well, what do we do?
I think we wanted to believe that this wouldn't happen. But as we talked amongst each other, we really didn't have something to say to the Archdiocese that we believe would be persuasive enough to keep us open. But because of this institution and what we gained as a result of being here as students and what we took into the world, there was a commitment that was made by all of us that said, we have to try. And try we did.
The message had to be driven that this place was closing, but at night, when all that was done, was when the real work started, the real work of finding a way to make our appeal and our purpose and the reality of moving forward something that was valid, something that was sustainable, something that could grow. That happened. It happened with the absolute time, treasures, and talents of some of the most vibrant leaders in our area, and it would not have happened without them.
In all candor, I was bugged that this proud archdiocese that really wrote the book on how to deliver sound, effective Catholic education would take away this building from, so many parents. I couldn't stand by. We had to stand up, we had to fight, and we had to fight for its future. So on a personal level, it was not on my watch.
The first call, obviously, was to Janet Dollard, trying to figure out what the game plan was going to be, what we were going to do next. Then started reaching out to fellow alums. Remember talking to Governor Schweiker, Congressman Fitzpatrick, all of us trying to figure out what it is that we could do to be part of the solution. And then ultimately ended up speaking to the larger community as a whole, trying to figure out ways in which we might be able to get a plan together that would be one that we could present to Archbishop Chaput in hopes of changing his mind in some way.
We're fortunate to have a very talented board. You're talking about college, professors, you're talking about CEOs, COOs, at the lower level, the attorneys. So you had such a wide range of people at the table that came with an understanding of the problem, but an open mind as to how we should solve it. No one had the killer answer. So it was a lot of trial and error.
At that point, you were in that period where, okay, we have to do everything we can to stay open. And that process was twofold. Number one, you figured that you needed to have some people with some, clout, some big stick people, for lack of a better word, to go down and talk to Archbishop Chaput and the Blue Ribbon Committee. But at the same time, if this team succeeds, what's the value proposition? And if you're going to engage some folks to backstop you, for the lack of a better word, you better have a pretty good value proposition going forward, because up to that point in time, clearly the value proposition wasn't great, or else we wouldn't have been in the position that we were in. So from January 6th up until February 24th, it was all about that.
We had to focus on what would make CEC stronger, to make it financially more viable, and at the same time to create an educational institution and the facilities and the fields and the academic programs, especially the academic programs, that makes CEC desirable for our surrounding community.
The concept originally was just everybody was kind of jockeying to see how they could save their own school. And once all of these impressive alums from schools all throughout the Archdiocese realized there was strength in numbers, and if we could come together, that could make a huge difference in being able to ultimately save the system, or at least reinvent the system and give us an opportunity to prove the concept that if we were able to think differently about the way in which the schools are funded, the schools are administered, that there might be an opportunity for a bright future.
I was distraught because I got constricted because our numbers were dropping. I didn't have any choice in the matter. I was very lucky that I was able to go to Archbishop Wood because it was closer. I felt like a traitor almost, because I'd be at Wood and an announcement would come on that Wood is playing Comwell tonight, or Egan, and the first thing that comes into my head is burn Wood. And, and I can't, because here's my homeroom. And then they made the announcement that the last basketball game ever that Egan was going to play was going to be against Wood. And I came to the game, and many of my students from Wood were playing in the game, and they came to me and said, "Why are you sitting on the Egan side?" And I said, "Guys, I teach you, but my heart is here. This is where my heart belongs. I'm an alum of Bishop Comwell. My husband's an alum of Egan, and my students, my children are all students here. So I will cheer your victories as you make basket after basket, but Egan will win tonight."
It felt like the entire student body, faculty, staff, alums, everyone was there. And it was a big game that we were, I think, not supposed to win, but we were there, we were in the student section, we were screaming at the top of our lungs. I mean, it was the loudest I've ever heard the plays, louder than Spirit Night, anything. And we took the lead in the game, and I just remember the entire student section was chanting, "Keep us open," and we just kept screaming it the entire time. Keep us open! Keep us open!
Everybody's talking about all night long, every time about the end, closing, the end. We're not done yet, fellas. We got a long way to go. We're not done. We're not done.
There was a great deal of political pressure that was placed on not so much you have to change your mind, it's please be open to different ideas. Please be open to different ways of thinking. And I do think it was the business community coming together in Faith in the Future and this new model that really allowed the Archbishop to think anew. It was very important to the Archdiocese that I be part of any sort of announcement of final decision. The Archdiocese wanted me to be at a press conference when they made a final decision. And I remember telling Janet, I said, look, I have no intention of presiding over a funeral. If they don't land where we would like them to land, I am not standing at the press conference. So on that day in February, I was in the car racing to the administration building for the Archdiocese down on 17th Street. And I called Janet. And I said, Janet, I'm on my way to the Archdiocese. And she goes, well, what does that mean? And I said, remember what I told you about not presiding over a funeral? She said, yes. I said, well, I'm not.
Today, I want to announce that all 4 of these high schools will remain open.
It's that sense of victory, so you celebrate the victory as if we just won the Super Bowl. To see the smile on the kids' faces and the excitement that they felt. That was that one moment that everybody there felt a part of something special that I don't know whether you would get in any other school.
I mean, it was astounding. I mean, I'm an optimistic person, but I thought there's no way they're keeping us open. Not with all of that. And they did. It was that, euphoric moment for a while, and everybody realized, ooh, we have to turn things around. We have to rally the community to turn things around, and turnarounds take time sometimes. But the exciting thing is the community really came together, and the board came together, and the team came together, and we're on our way now.
On February 24th of 2012, we were a 55-year-old startup company, right? In reality. And we got an opportunity to reinvent ourselves. That was a gift.
We bought some time because there was a crisis fundraising that put some money in the till that gave us an opportunity. There was this organization, Faith and Future, said they would stand behind the system and they would underwrite any losses. So we knew it wasn't months. We had a few years to change the direction, but that takes time because the community thinks you're going out of business. And who wants to take the risk of sending their freshmen to a school that might be going out of business? We couldn't continue to be the school we were and survive. We had to basically transform and bring a lot of innovation into the school to convince people that have a free public school alternative. They might prefer the Commonwealth alternative, but it costs money, right?
What a remarkably different reaction and feeling in 2022, 10 years later, to that moment and that indication that we had gotten about the possible closure that now we're enthusiastic and the advancement effort is growing. The word that keeps coming to mind is transformational. So internally, I think we get high marks. I think that's why one local newspaper said we're the best private high school in the area. Externally, take a ride by on a gorgeous spring day. This is a building that's been refurbished. These are the modern amenities that say Commonwealth Catholic High School is the place to be if you want your kids to have every shot at being successful young men and women.
With Tom Lynch's leadership and Matt Fisher's leadership, and again, the help of our board, they're very, forward thinking, cutting edge stuff, thinking outside the box. CSL was outside the box. 9 periods a day was outside of the box. And look what those things have done, to our school and the perception of our school and the things that we do that other schools just don't do. That allowed us to have engineering and School of Business and this Media Lab, I think, which will be coming soon. So I think there's going to be more of that cutting edge, really cutting edge stuff academically from the leadership of the school.
Our strategy is really one word. It's innovation. Little innovations, big innovations, and it's, as our principal always says, Matt Fisher, what's next? We have to have this what's next mentality, and it's working, right? Because it's exciting, and we do great marketing because we realize, we can have a great story, but if not enough people understand it. We've grown our enrollment 30% in the last 3 years. We have terrific momentum, but our outcomes are better too. This last senior class had a record average scholarship per student. So I think we have a very well-rounded program founded on extraordinary people who are dedicated, they're talented, and this is their calling. I think that's a real intangible, a tremendous advantage. At least our organization has, that for people, this is what they love to do. And it's hard to beat that.
Like, you couldn't get a ticket to the Phillies game in 2008, 9, 10. They were sold out for 4 years in a row. But by the time 2012, 13 came around, they were giving tickets away. And that's what I felt like we were in 2012. Like, we were the Phillies that nobody wanted to come and see play. And meaning our alum. Not all of them, obviously, because we did have some engaged few. And now all of a sudden, we're the 2008 Phillies again. It's like, yeah, baby, that's my team.
Heaven help us if the school had died 10 years ago and it just sat here. What a waste that would have been. What you have accomplished, you all have accomplished in the past 10 years and what you continue to talk about. And it's just a great feeling. It's a great feeling. I'm so glad that the school was able to stay open.
They say that when you live your purpose, you touch the hand of God. And this gift that I got, right, gave me the confidence, and it gave me the gift that I can live my purpose every day. I learned all that here in this building, from the people in this building and the people around me and the experiences that I had those 4 years.
Personally, I've gone through a lot in the last couple of years. When I walk into this building, I feel complete. This is a second family to me, and I feel as comfortable here as I feel at my home. I think the reason that we are where we are is because it wasn't one person, it wasn't 4 alum, it wasn't 16 alum. It's because everybody put everything that they had into keeping this school alive. Nobody gave up, and now nobody's giving up. And there was always pride, but now there's more pride, and nobody wants to see it end.
It's just that family atmosphere that people want to be involved. They want to come back year after year and help out and do whatever they can. How can you not want to be involved with this place? It's become the focal point of my life. I have my family and I have my faith, but then this place comes next.
It's an important thread in, let's say, the tapestry of my life. I think CEC is on a wonderful path with continued growth.
We've entrusted Cummolegan with our most precious asset. Our son Nick is a freshman here, and it's because we believe in where Cummolegan is going. We know that Cummolegan is best equipped to prepare Nick for a complete life as a Catholic, as a citizen, as a student, and as a human being. And I can't think of any better tribute than that.
Being a part of, keeping it open, being a part of seeing its success, and seeing the students and talking to the students and getting their appreciation for the fact that it's here And knowing but for those people that were part of that team, that they gave me the opportunity to participate, but for them, this would be a vacant lot. And the friends that I made here in 11th grade, I still have today. We lost some as a hard part, over COVID, but they're still here. They're here. They're here. It's that relationship, that camaraderie, that brotherhood, that sisterhood that carried us through life and allowed us in our own ways to make differences. And I think that it gave some substance that one person can make a difference.
As soon as you step in to these walls, you really feel that family culture, and it's something that you can't get anywhere else. We never forgot where we came from, that we always kept that in mind, that happened, and we're not gonna let that even come back into consideration ever again.
The 4 years I spent here as a student had a profound effect on me. Some of my best friendships and relationships are from those years. The faith-based education that I received here, it's really embedded in me. It's been a part of my life for so long.
It's more than any one thing outside of my mom, probably. This place gave me a chance at the life that I have. To have a family, to have a business, to have met some of the greatest friends a guy could ever ask for. My wife's a Conwell graduate. This place gave me so much. And it continues to, because it keeps putting good people out into the world.
It was truly the proverbial foundation for a wonderful life in a professional and personal sense. And part of our drive and motive to reorganize is so that young people can have the same track, the same opportunity. And it worked for me, and I hope it works for others.
CEC stands for commitment. I said, and that's what it is. It's a commitment. It's in my heart. I tell people I bleed blue and gray, and now it's blue and white. It's just a wonderful experience.
In my life, I met my best friends. I met them in 1969, and I didn't go to grade school with any of them. I met them all here. That's why it's important, because you get values here and lifetime friendships here that are priceless. They're priceless.
And over the last 2 or 3 years, all the hard work the team did here has really blossomed, right, into a school that is now, when I go to meetings with the Archdiocese, we're like the exemplar. Oh, you should talk to Conwell Egan and see what they're doing. And I sometimes chuckle and say, if you only knew, We have that magic thing called momentum, the momentum of winning. And that you can feel it through the organization, you can feel it in the prospective parents, you can feel it with a great board of directors, a very generous donor community. It's been a gift, I think. I really feel like Bill and Jack and the others who talked me into this really gave me a gift.